Well, hello. I'm Dr. Ben Vincent and I'll be taking you for the first half of this module called Cognition. Before you dive into all the materials that we have prepared for you on MyDundee, I thought I'd give you a bit of an overview about how this module might differ from other modules that you might be taking or modules that you've taken before. Mainly, what is different is that we are using a flipped classroom approach. So what that means is that we have created a whole bunch of material for you to go through before the class. So all of the kind of learning of the information is done by you absorbing the information into your mind, making notes, thinking about it in advance of the class. And what we actually do in the class, which is going to be online, what we do is to spend all of that time, we're going to have 2-hour slots where I can ask questions of you and you can ask questions of me. So this is a really different approach to like the regular lecture format. Rather than me trying to kind of rush through the material in a 2-hour slot with not really enough time for a proper discussion or questions, we're doing it just the other way. So for my content, for example, I'll be taking you for weeks 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And for each week, I have a mini kind of book chapter of information for you. So for my content at least, you don't have to go off and find different books or buy different books. I've essentially written one. Very importantly though, I have interspersed in that written material a large number of videos, and these videos go through some of the core topics, kind of explaining things in detail. So this is the really key thing that you've got to do in this module. You must go through this material that we have prepared for you before the class. Otherwise it won't make any sense. Because when we do our online class together, like I say, I'm going to be asking you questions and you're going to be asking me questions, and if you've not done the reading, that won't make any sense at all. What do I mean by asking questions? So we use Mentimeter, which I think is really useful. We had excellent feedback about using Mentimeter last year. We really enjoyed it, the students really enjoyed it. So what this means is that you log on to the class in MyDundee through Collaborate, you join our live session, and you will see a series of slides that we've prepared in advance, and we talk you through them. And on many of these slides there will be either questions that I'm posing to you. So this is, I think, a really useful thing to test your memory, to test your understanding. I'll either ask you open-ended questions or I'll ask you kind of multiple choice questions. And for those of you who are a bit competitive, at the beginning you can kind of type in your name and you can stay anonymous if you like, but you get assigned kind of points at the end depending on how well you did. But that's optional. So I pose questions to you. This helps your memory recall, and sneakily but cleverly I also ask you questions not just of the previous week but of a number of weeks past. And there's some interesting kind of research literature to show that this kind of spaced repetition is really useful. It gives you kind of beneficial learning outcomes because it makes you consolidate memory, it makes you more aware of the things that you do know and also the things that you don't know. But what about, so that covers me asking you questions. Obviously your responses using this Mentimeter software can be anonymous, and I think that that's one of the main reasons why the students really like it. There's always this dynamic in a classroom where some people don't want to ask questions, some people want to ask a lot of questions, some people do want to ask questions but they feel a bit kind of shy or inhibited, and that's totally fine. So the Mentimeter totally gets around that because it's kind of anonymous, so that's great. But what about the other kind of side of this? What about you asking me questions? Well, that actually forms the majority of our 2-hour sessions, and it's an aspect that I really like, because in kind of classic lectures I would really like being asked questions because well, one, it's a bit of a break from me just kind of telling you stuff, but two, it kind of shows me that you're kind of listening, and it's an opportunity for me to either like correct explanations that I didn't quite get right, or to help correct misunderstandings. So for me it's really cool, and I think for you it's also really beneficial as well, because if you've gone through the material in advance of the class, you've written down your understanding, you've written down the things that you're not clear about, and we give you a lot of time in the lecture where you can actually ask and get clarifications, and so on. So that's really cool. So it's a really great, simple system. I really like the flipped classroom. It's not just me, we got excellent feedback from the students last year, so I'm very much hoping that you will enjoy it too. So feel free to go and look around the module. You must go through the week 1 material before our scheduled class in week 1. I think you'll enjoy it. I think cognition is actually a really interesting topic, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.